Hello, everyone. Welcome to Advanced B2B webinar series. I'm Ali Kisaoglu from Advanced B2B, and today I'm hosting the CEO and founder of N.Rich, Markus Ståhlberg. We will discuss the power of intent data and how it impacts the revenue and ROI. Our agenda today will follow B2B customer journey, definition of intent data. Then we will look into buyer journey, buying committee, and how to utilize the intent data. With that, intent data workflow for sales and marketing, and also what else you may need beyond intent data. And in the end, we will also reserve some time to answer your questions about the intent data. However, please don't wait until the end to send your questions over here. You can use the chat to submit them during the webinar. And as I said, we will answer all the questions in the end of the webinar. Okay, welcome, Markus. Before we start, would you like to say a few words about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So thanks for having me. So my name is Markus Ståhlberg. I'm the CEO and co-founder of N.Rich, and just very briefly, N.Rich is an account-based marketing and intent data provider. We are the leading provider in Europe in this area. This is a very crowded market in especially from the US side, and we strive to bring intent data and let's say more data-driven go-to-market capabilities to European companies. And yeah, this webinar is a great opportunity of just sharing some details about that, what intent data can do.
Great, thank you for that, Markus. To start with, let's talk about the B2B journey in 2023. Obviously, the number of touch points increased over the years, and the journey got more and more complicated. So what does the B2B enterprise customer journey look like for you?
Sure. So I really like this image. I think it's this is from Gartner, and it's basically illustrating the kind of the complexity of the this buying processes of B2B companies, not only enterprise. Of course, when it's enterprise, it's longer. When it's not enterprise, then it will be a bit shorter, but the situation stays exactly similar. And the thing is that it's very complex. And like you said, it's getting more and more complex, even if there are digital technologies and tools available. So if you interpret this image you start your buying journey on day 1, and then you might end it on day 668 when you actually decide that this is what we will buy. And you might think okay, is this a bit long cycle? But actually it isn't. So normally in B2B, you'd have sales cycles that are at least something like 6 months, but the buying journey itself would be probably at least 2 times or 3 times longer than the sales cycle, because for sure these buyers won't be in touch with the vendors until very late stages of the process. So what makes this complex, this process complex, is that there are many people involved in the buying process and buying committee basically of the accounts, and this is something that has increased over a period of time. So I think now in software, it's typically something like 5, and then when you go to more complex things industrial products or something like that, it could be up to 15 people involved in the decision making. And obviously, when you do a decision, you need an alignment. So if you look at this process, I think the interesting part is that it can also go back and forth. So it's not a linear process where you just you move forward as marketers many times want to describe it as a funnel. So you just move to the next step and to the next step and to the next step, and after that you are ready to buy. But in real life, what happens many times is that some roadblocks emerge, somebody's not aligned, new situations come up, and then the process moves backward. So the thing here from B2B marketers and sales perspective is that how can we help the customers to navigate this maze? Obviously, it is in the interest of the customer to make it easier to buy. It's in the interest of the marketers to make it easier to buy. So there is like a common target here, for both parties. But like how to actually do that, and yeah, that would be the topic of the of like the webinar in terms of the intent data. So we can move forward.
Okay, great. So from what you told me and the other participants, it seems like, you know, identifying the customer journey and the signals you get from the touch points and also monitoring the user behavior seems essential for every marketing and sales function. How could one get this data, and do you have any like real life examples you could possibly show us?
Sure. Yeah. So let's go to the like intent data topic. So I'm sure at least most of you have heard this term, intent data. It's quite a hot topic right now in B2B. It's not a silver bullet, but if you use it in a correct way, it can help you tremendously in basically helping the customers to navigate this maze, and on the other hand, like increase like the efficiency of your go-to-market. So here's a definition from Gartner. So intent data is information that indicates prospects' level of interest in a particular product or service online. This is a good, simple definition. I would take it a bit further than this. It's not only about like the level of interest, it's also about the stage of the buyer journey. Like based on the intent data, you can determine like what is the like current stage of the buyer journey. And essentially, like if you think about like where this data is coming from, this is like what has changed basically in the B2B process, that like more and more of this data, this journey is happening online, which means there are digital touch points available. It's essentially about interactions with content, which we call here like this hidden buyer journey signals. You don't have access to those normally. It comes like when you visit the website, you research some area, some category of products. Maybe you visit some like websites of vendors. So there are different ways in which this kind of data can be put together. And these are the signals. And then if you can put those signals together into a consistent, coherent scoring or and interpret this scoring in a correct way, then you can take an appropriate action based on what the signal is telling you. So I would argue that intent data should not only be used in a way that, you know, when you have intent, start your sales process. That's not a correct way of interpreting it. The way you should do it is that you gather the signals from different sources, not just one source, but from several sources. Then you interpret it, like what does it mean? Like the current signal, and then you take the appropriate action based on that, which also involves like defining or designing like what kind of content should be served to this account in order to make it easier for them to move forward in their buying process. Okay, so let's talk a bit about like the different types of intent data. This is very useful to understand that you don't just have like an intent data label is associated to many different things. And there are basically two major categories. First of them would be third-party intent data. And this is basically denoting in-market account. It means that the account is in market for a specific product or service. So it tells that this account is actually like interested and researching a certain category or a solution. This is coming from third-party websites. So not your own website, but third-party websites. This is an important distinction to the first-party intent data, which is the other main category. So it could be the that it comes through the advertising, programmatic advertising data, or it could be coming from a specific website that is specifically collecting the intent. So there are different ways in which this can be, the third-party intent can be gathered. But typically, it's not about your brand; it's about your competition, it's about the category in which you are operating. And typically you configure it as topics, which would be basically the category or like the subject matter that the account is researching. It could be keywords. That would be a bit less extensive way of defining. It would be basically just like a specific keyword match. And then you have the competitive side, which would be basically when the customer is researching competition of yours, other companies basically. And the data is available on the account level. And this is an important point. So you will get account level intent, and it's not available on the contact level. And this is mainly because of data privacy reasons. You might find some providers in the US who provide contact level intent data. You might find some providers even in Europe, like ZoomInfo, who would be claiming to have this contact level data, but typically it's a probabilistic method that is used there, which is like this. With that, you don't really have the privacy concerns, but also it's not actually indicating that this specific individual has intent. It's just like a combination of different variables related to the account. So you should start from the assumption that when you get the intent data, it's on the company level and not on the contact level. Additionally, you have the city or region level location data available, which is really useful, especially from the sales perspective, because you can then utilize this data in order to let's say target your efforts and outreach in a more targeted way. We have here like a few examples of intent data providers. So Bombora would be the leading provider of third-party intent data, especially coming from like third-party websites, like various websites, not Bombora's own, but other ones. They're a US-based provider, and our company N.Rich we are just going to launch a new product called Intent Hub, which is basically built to provide Europeans their own third-party intent data source. So we will be supporting also like European languages there, so not only English for the intent. Then you have the reviews websites like G2 and Capterra, and here the intent is a bit different. This is coming from the research of certain categories or products or your own product within those websites. So it's only certain website and this G2 or Capterra, for example, and you'll get the intent from there. And then finally, you have the category of these go-to-market or account-based platforms like ZoomInfo, Sixtense, or N.Rich, where different sources of intent are put together, and it basically makes it easier to utilize various sources of intent at the same time, and also create workflows around those intent, let's say high intent and intent scores in general. Depending on like what your need is, you might be very much okay on going with the solution like Bombora or Intent Hub. Typically, maybe together with this reviews websites data if you have a software product, and then once you're a bit more advanced, when you actually need to combine marketing and sales efforts and do some more customized approaches, then these GTM platforms would be the way to go. Then we can go to the first party intent data. So that would be the other category. So this would be actually it's I'd say like quite overlooked category of intent data, even though I'd say it's much more valuable than the third party intent data, or at least it has kind of a different meaning, because this is actually telling that these accounts are engaged and hot. So they are basically interested in your brand and your solution. Obviously, if you compare these two, so you have accounts that are interested in a category, let's say cybersecurity, or they're interested in your company, you would always pick the one that is interested in your company as being more interesting right now compared to the other one. So here, this data is coming from your website. It could be coming from your advertising in terms of engagement with the ads, marketing automation, or sales interactions could also be used here. So there are different ways that this first-party intent data and intent score can be put together. And this is basically what it does is that it associates the intent with a piece of content. for instance, your website URL or like the advertising, the ad or the email that they have engaged with. So typically you don't get this in terms of topics or so like the third party, but it's in the form of the actual like content or the reference to the content. This is available on the account level, especially when you use the website and ads. But when you go to marketing automation, sales interactions, then it would be available on contact level as well. But again, here I would say that most useful part of the intent data will be on the account level. So again, you need to be prepared of utilizing the account level intent data instead of the contact level intent data. This is really an important point. And here also the city and region level location data is available, so you can basically use this to associate like the engagement and interest from a certain account, for instance, to the contacts and people within the specific account. In the first-party data providers area, like this is also called website visitor identification as the category. There are several different companies like Leadfeeder, Lead Forensics, Clearbit. You might know. These companies normally are used in a very tactical way. So you have somebody visiting a website, and then you just like provide the data about this account to the sales. Typically, that's the way they are used. So it's not really putting this data into like a more strategic context. Whereas the go-to-market platforms, again, are able to capture this similar data, this first-party intent, and combine it with third-party data and other sources, in which case you can make, let's say, more like varied or like complex decisions based on like what actually to do with the data. Okay, so these are the two categories of intent data, third party and first party. And now we could look just a bit into like how this data looks in practice. So I will show this to you on, let's just share my screen here. If that's possible, if you can give me the access to share, I'll share.
Yeah, just a second. You should be able to share now, Markus.
Perfect. So let me just share just 1 second. Yeah. All right. So can you see my screen now?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, perfect. That's great. So I'm going to show you just briefly how the intent data looks within N.Rich platform. So on N.Rich we have like a section called intent reports, and I'll just show you how the results are looking and how this data can be utilized. So here, this is the in-market intent report. So this is basically utilizing the third-party intent data. We have a list of accounts here that have a score, like each of the accounts have a score. And with this score, it's coming basically from a combination of third-party score and first-party score. So again, like mentioned before, on N.Rich and other go-to-market platforms, you can combine these two, but now we are looking mainly at the third-party intent. So the way you will get the data is that you have certain kinds of topics, like here we have predictive lead scoring, account-based marketing, data-driven sales. So each of these has a score associated with a certain account. So based on this, we will know what this account is interested in, like what kind of topics they are researching. And then additionally, we have the data about the competition, this competitive intent. So we can see here our competition like Clearbit, Terminus, Lead Forensics, Bombora, and each of these have a score again. So we will know exactly like what kinds of, which competitors these accounts are researching right now. And then finally, we have the data related to the locations of the intent, which is really useful, especially from the sales perspective. So we can see here for MailChimp, for instance, they are looking for predictive lead scoring and data-driven sales, and highest intent is coming from New York and Cleveland, Ohio. And this way, the like third-party intent, puts together a score that you can then utilize in different ways. So how to utilize it? So if you have a more, let's say, straightforward go-to-market motion, then you can use it within your CRM directly. So here is just an example of how we have configured it within our HubSpot journe integration. So a salesperson can basically define and select their own accounts that they own, and then create a list of those. You get the score, you get exactly the same data that I showed there within the N.Rich platform. You have the topics, you have the locations, and this way you can see and understand like what the account is interested in, and the salesperson can then take actions to identify like the contacts and take it further in terms of like generating a meeting or an opportunity. So that's one part of the intent data, the third-party data, and then as the other part, mentioned, the intent data should be used to determine like what is the stage of the buyer journey for each of the accounts. And here, when you go from the in-market data to engaged and hot, you are going to need actually both of these data sets. So let's see, here we go. So with this hot ICP here, we have basically the third party and first party intent combined. So this comes partially from our website and partially from the third party sources. So we can see here company Ensto, who has the 65 as the score, and the data that generates this score when we are talking about first party intent would be coming from the engagement, with our website or with our ads or different content assets. So here we can then basically go into a bit more granular level of the engagements that this account has had over a period of time and what actually they have been interested in. So we can see here that they have been mostly interested in our go-to-market diagnostics product, and that the intent has been coming from India. But I think in this case it's like not the correct location. I think we can see here on the map that mostly the intent is coming. This first party intent is coming from Finland, from city of Hämeenlinna. So this way, the data basically expands. You can use it for to determine the stage of the buyer journey, whether it's kind of more like an early stage account, whether it's account that is in market already, or whether it's an account that is actually already interested in your brand. Okay, then Ali, we can move back to the presentation. Perfect. So now let's go back to the B2B journey, or the maze of the B2B journey. So now, if you think about what we just went through about the different types of intent data, if you just think about the normal go-to-market motion for a B2B company, so normally, it would be quite ad hoc in a sense, like you would use things like advertising, search engine marketing, LinkedIn. You would use it in a way that I would call it spray and pray. So even if you know which accounts you go after, which is already quite advanced, you don't know what is the stage of the buyer journey. So you do advertising or you do sales, and how to determine what is the correct way to approach this account. Would it be sales or would it be marketing? And if it's marketing, what would be the content? What would be the message for this account? So if you don't have intent data, what it means is that you are blind. You don't know what is the stage of each of the accounts. So you might be going with the sales approach to a problem identification stage, in which you know that it will be too early. They don't have absolutely any interest to talk with you, most likely. Whereas you could go with like an awareness content to target like a company who is already like in the stage of selecting a supplier and already interested in your offering. So using intent data will help you to be much more focused in your both sales and marketing approach. It means that it will increase the return on investment because you will use less resources. You will increase the conversions. It will be more relevant for the customers. So it's kind of giving you this guide that if a customer is in the supplier selection stage, they're probably happy if the sales is in touch with them, and it's just the right time to talk and we were just interested in your solution. But if it's in the problem identification stage, maybe it will be better to elaborate on the problem, like this is the area of the problem, like these are the kinds of ways you could start solving it, and help the customer to move forward in their buying journey. So I'd say this gives you kind of the light in the dark. Intent data gives you light in the dark, so you'll know like what stage the customer is at most likely, and what would be the next the right action for this account. So let's now then move to the next slide, which is showing this approach from let's say a bit more practical perspective. So here, on the top, you can see kind of categories of this buyer journey. We have cold accounts that have absolutely no intent at all. We have in-market accounts. This is accounts that have the third-party intent, like we discussed. We have engaged accounts. They have first-party intent. They have started getting interested in your offering, but they are not yet hot, which would be the next category. So these accounts are really getting ready to talk to the sales. Then you have the pipeline where the account is, you have an opportunity basically for the account. And then eventually, when you win the customer, the account moves back to cold, where you then can start a process of upselling or cross-selling to those accounts. The approach here that we advocate is that for the sake of simplicity, there are three types of content. You have top of the funnel content, which is about the use case or let's say the solution category awareness. Then you have the middle of the funnel, which is about the product awareness, your brand. And then you have the bottom of the funnel, in which you try to actually convert this account into an opportunity. And what you see here is what kind of content you should be using in each of these stages. And there's a difference here from the buying committee perspective. So if you target the cold accounts, you should not be targeting the entire buying committee. Instead, you should be trying to identify what personas within the account are most likely champions for the use case. This is not champions for your brand; they are champions for the use case. So they start driving the process in the company that let's purchase something. Let's look into a solution in this area. We need it. So that's what you want to elaborate here. Target those personas that are most likely champions for your use case, your category, and then help them become those champions so that they can advocate this internally. For the in-market, these are accounts that are actually already, they might be engaged or hot for your competition. So they are already in market. They are looking for the category. Here, it's quite urgent target to get to identify these brand champions. So you want to find people who are actually interested in promoting and adding your brand into this buying process. If it's an RFP including your product there, your brand there, or if it's just a normal buying process, you just need to ensure that your brand is in the short list. And here we recommend using the middle of the funnel, where it's about your product awareness, your brand awareness, why they should include your brand there. And again, focus on the champion instead of focusing on the entire buying committee. This means that it's more narrow targeting. You don't need that much content, and also like you don't need that much budget there, for these early stages. Then when the account becomes engaged, this is probably the biggest category that you should be focusing in. So these accounts are researching your brand, your product, but they are not yet talking to your sales. You don't have an opportunity, and they are not hot. So here, your target would be to achieve buying committee support. So here you want to use what we recommend to use all these different types of content, because different people within the account are in different stages. So some people might never have heard about your product or solution, and some people might be already ready to talk to your sales and want to learn more about that. So here it should be all these content at the same time. Once the account turns hot, it won't be that many accounts that are hot at any given time. But again, you should go back to the persona, this champion, who you should try to motivate to get in touch and engage with your sales. And here it's about the bottom of the funnel. The target of the content is to achieve opportunity conversion. And then after this, or already at this stage, it should be sales who starts their work, inside sales or sales dev in particular, who are then generating meetings and potentially opportunities for the sales process. Once the opportunity is created, you should not stop as from marketing perspective, but you should keep on nurturing these accounts in order to accelerate the buyer journey. And here it's about helping the buying committee to decide. You don't anymore need that much of the use case awareness, but it's really about the product awareness and opportunity conversion that you should be focusing in here at this stage. So this way, it might sound a bit complicated, and to be honest, from content perspective, it is. That's why we have this webinar in general with Advanced B2B. You might need some external help, and ABNB is our recommended partner here in this area, so they could make your life easier in terms of generating the content and coming up with ideal strategies here in each of these stages. Okay, so then let's go one more step more practical. So if you can go to the next slide.
Yeah, actually, what I see,
go ahead.
Markus, I see a lot of value regarding defining the customer journey, and then also defining who to target at different stages of the funnel and when. It can bring a lot of value onto the table for the sales and the marketing in businesses. So how does this help, in general? Can you define that process? What value the sales and marketing gets?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a good question. So basically it means that ideally you have the right action at the right time, which means that you save resources, so you don't target the wrong account with wrong kind of action and with wrong kind of content, but instead you do it in a right way. So here is basically a chart of the process, and it actually isn't that complicated. If you just look at it here from content perspective, you need a lot of content. You need to work on that side, but from the process perspective, it's not that difficult. So you start with intent data. You go to automated workflow. It could be manual as well, but ideally, marketers usually want to be automated, and this is the modern way of doing go-to-market. And when the accounts are engaged in market or cold, you move them to a marketing segment. So this is not sales yet. The time is not right for the sales yet. So your target is then to deliver personalized content, like described in the previous chart. For cold, it's use case awareness. For in-market, it's about brand awareness. For engaged, it's about basically getting the support internally, to move forward, and start talking to the sales. And then basically with all of this content, you are generating more engagement, and this will feed back to the intent data, and then eventually the account will become hot, which means that they are basically intensively researching your brand, your product, your solutions. And once this happens, you can start prioritizing these accounts in CRM. You can start using your sales process, your sales development resources here in order to generate the meetings. This is on the account level, and I think this is one of the, let's say, biggest caveats here in this process, because this requires a different approach from standard lead generation. You can't do it in the same way because you don't have the contact. You don't know who the person is. You just know that this account is hot. They are intensively researching your solution. You need to use LinkedIn Sales Navigator, ZoomInfo, Cognism. There are a lot of different tools that you can use for prospecting, and use it in a way that you utilize the intent data and the location and the account in order to identify, these are the personas that are ideal for us from this account. We can see that intent is coming from this specific location, so let's prospect those personas, and then basically do the outreach and convert these accounts into meeting and eventually into an opportunity. So all in all, it's not very complicated, but if you don't have it, you will be basically just targeting all the accounts with the same content and same actions, or with a very random content and with very, very random actions at the same time. I still need to highlight here that there is a big difference here to the, let's say, the traditional marketing automation flow, which is typically from marketing automation like HubSpot or Marketo or like other tools where you use emailing. This is on the contact level. So you always have the contact, and everything we have talked about today essentially is on the account level. And this is before or parallel to what you do in marketing automation. So this is in no way replacing what is being done with marketing automation, but it's more of a parallel stream, which is typically it will be increasing your coverage of your target market significantly. So it will bring significant opportunities in terms of increasing your revenue and like basically generating won deals from accounts that actually you couldn't have reached or engaged with your marketing automation. So this is kind of the next let's say level of development in terms of the B2B go-to-market, or at least that's the way I would see it.
Okay, great.
Okay, then yeah,
I can see lots of sorry for interrupting you. I can see lots of advantages in having the user's intent data. For example, tuning the message, tuning the tone, timing of the activities, etc. But I assume it's not enough just to attach the tracking script to website and getting the or getting the third-party data to identify. So what else in addition to intent data companies need? What is essential?
Yeah, so this is a good question. So when you use intent data, you will find out what is the correct next step for this each of the accounts, what's the good next action and content. But with intent data, that doesn't tell you, is this customer the right one for us? It doesn't tell you anything about that. It just tells you that this customer seems to be in market at the moment, but it could be that it's too small, or actually the use case they have is not really something that you can serve. They could be from a market like a country which is not really serviceable by your teams or like there are different reasons there, which actually using the intent data alone might make your process it would be more efficient than doing just spray and pray, but it would not be ideally efficient. So additionally to the intent data, you need ideal customer profile. So basically definition of the kinds of accounts that would be expected to generate revenue fastest for you. So we call this high velocity ICP score. So you have what kind of companies would generate the highest win rate? What kind of companies would generate the highest average deal size? What kind of companies would be having the shortest sales cycle? So answering to these questions and kind of identifying the profile of the accounts that meet these criteria will be accelerating your overall go-to-market tremendously. Because if you use just the intent data, you don't really know, are these opportunities going to close as one eventually? Like, what is going to be your win rate? Deal size, are you going to generate a lot of small deals which are actually like don't make sense, or are you going to get a lot of opportunities that are not serviceable, like that just you just close them as lost? But when you have this ICP score added to the intent score, then you know already from the start that as soon as we get an opportunity from this kind of account, the likelihood of closing it as one in the shortest period of time with the highest possible revenue would be more likely. So you need both of these things at the same time in order to like run an optimal process. But I think like we don't have enough time now to go to the ICP, so that would be part of or subject for a separate webinar then to talk about that.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Markus, for sparing your time to tell us all this. And of course, I think we as marketers and sales professionals like all aware that intent data can and will make a difference for our work and help us basically reach those customers faster and in a better way, and of course for generating results. And I also want to mention one more time for our participants that if you have any questions, please send it over in the chat, and we will try to answer them after the webinar. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, so as the final thought here, if this presentation raised interest in intent data and this overall go-to-market approach, we have this limited offer available for basically getting some free intent data, free analysis of your ICP, and then also like diagnostics of your current situation in this ICP market that has been defined. It's a process that takes a couple of weeks to set up. Quite simple to do, and you can register on this URL here, N.Rich/free, and yeah, we'll get you set up. And based on this, normally like it will be easy then to decide, is my market good for intent data? Can we utilize it now? Is there data available? How much data is available? What can we expect in terms of results? And this will also help you to justify internally, what kind of resources should be invested to this. So this is available. Just go to N.Rich/free to register if there is interest. So thank you very much for your attention, and I think now we can go to the questions if there are any.
Exactly. We have a couple of questions. So to start with, the first one, is high intent actually possible from topical reads? Should you always start where the intent is highest? Like comparison size, like Capgera, G2, or reverse IP from your own website?
Yeah, so it depends on like what you are looking to do. Of course, it sounds like the lowest hanging fruit to go with the data where the intent is closest to the buying decision. But the fact is, especially as marketers, you should not be focused only on what's happening this month or this quarter. You should be thinking about what's going to happen in the last quarter of this year, in a couple of quarters. So my suggestion, I mean, it's okay. You can use this kind of tactical approach, just going with the highest intent, but that's not going to take you very far. It's not scalable. You just kind of listen to what's available already, but you are not really generating this intent. So what I would say is that it's a good way to start. You can see if it works, but if you actually want to make intent data work for you, you should take a more strategic and long-term approach. And there, you also need to think about the earlier stages of the intent, using third-party intent, and then also using different ways of moving these accounts forward in the funnel or in their buying journey.
Thank you, Markus. Another question is, one of our participants mentioned that LinkedIn provide a similar data regarding, topical intent, product intent, and brand intent, and well, price is comparable, they mentioned, and they would like to hear what kind of roadmap, N.Rich has, would like to see a roadmap apart from, N.Rich point of view.
So the recommended approach here is to use all the data that is available. So if you have LinkedIn data, that's great. If you have G2 data, capture data, that's great. If you have N.Rich data, that's great. And everything needs to be put together. You never have like too much intent data. So in terms of the roadmap, it's good way, just in the same way as it's a good way to start with account-based marketing to start with LinkedIn. So you can use the LinkedIn data to get started and experiment a bit. But with LinkedIn, the biggest challenge that we see is that LinkedIn is, like people are not using LinkedIn that often, that frequently. So you have limited reach. You will be able to reach some people who are frequent LinkedIn users, but many people are not using LinkedIn very frequently. And this means that, those people are just like off the radar for you. So LinkedIn is a good way to start, but pretty soon, if you want to scale, which I believe everybody wants to do, then you need to be expanding outside of LinkedIn. And when you do that, you are going to need tools like N.Rich. You could use tools like Bombora just to get the third-party intent. But if you want to kind of combine this first-party and third-party data, then you will need something like more like a go-to-market platform.
Yeah. Another question is actually related to go-to-market, as you mentioned. So one says, how can I use intent data for go-to-market when entering new markets?
That's a good question. I really like that. So actually, when you go to new markets, intent data is a really good starting point. Again, you would need the ICP as well. I'm not going to go too deep into that, but kind of defining like what kind of accounts you expect to generate deals, and you can use the data from your other markets in order to do that. But then intent data is a very good way to get started. Again, you can use this low-hanging fruit approach. Just use this highest level of intent first and try to convert those accounts into opportunities quickly. But at the same time, especially again as a marketer, you should be thinking about like what's going to happen with this market during the next 12 months or 24 months. Like, how do we actually attack this market? And if your answer is that let's just listen to the intent data that is available, you're not going to get very far. So you need to be proactively generating the demand, generating the intent within this market, and you need to start, in my opinion, from day one instead of like waiting for 6 months and then only after that realizing that okay, now we have kind of exhausted the intent that is available in the market organically. So what do we do next? And as you know, when you start doing something with marketing, it will take time. It's not going to be like thing that results in results just suddenly or immediately. So yeah, that's the approach I would recommend there.
Okay. Another question follows as, does it make sense to use intent data only for marketing or only for sales? Or is it required that both departments use it from day one? I assume together here.
Yeah. So I'd say it's not required, of course. I mean, it's you can start. I would probably not start with the sales. I would start with marketing first to experiment with it. I always say that you don't have many options, chances with the sales. So if you kind of introduce a new approach to the sales and it fails, then they will remember that, and it will be hard to introduce it again, when you have a better approach to it. So it would be better for marketing to experiment and learn how to use intent data, what kind of results can be gotten, and then carefully start experimenting by involving the sales, doing pilots, maybe having one or two sales development team members utilize it, have a clear process, define it, how it's going to be work, how it would work, and then only after that roll it out to like a wider group of people within the sales organization. So I'd say this would be my answer, because this is essentially, it is marketing data. It's not sales data. It's like marketing should own the intent data, in my opinion, and then marketing should enable the sales to use it in a kind of package it in a way that the intent data that they provide to the sales would be expected to generate ideal conversions for the sales. And on the other hand, like the process in which this data is used should work or be proven to work. It's a great question as well.
Okay. Another question. What type of intent data do you recommend starting with? First party, meaning website visits, or third party?
Yeah, I would recommend to start with both. It depends, of course, on your budgets, but I would definitely go with both from the beginning. So first party intent data is nice. That's really good. But again, you are kind of limited to what you already get. Like you can't really do much to increase it. It's like you're kind of missing this view into like what's actually happening in the market, and that's why the third party intent data brings you this more extended view where you can actually proactively generate more of this first party intent data. So yeah, I would say I would recommend going with both. It of course depends on your resources. You could just go with first party or even go just with third party, but like yeah, generally it would be better to take, like if you start a project around intent data, I would start working with both at the same time.
Okay. One more question. I have actually two more questions. So this one reads as, can intent data help qualify target accounts?
Yeah, that's a good question. Now we are kind of, the question is actually like, can we, you can, it depends on like what you mean by qualifying. So if it's about qualifying the need and the stage of the buyer journey, definitely this is what intent data is about. But if the question is about kind of qualifying whether this account profile is ideal for us, you in theory could use it as some kind of a proxy if you don't know your target market at all, if you don't know your ICP. So you could start from intent data, third-party intent data, and basically understand, okay, these kinds of accounts have intent around this area. So you could use it that way if you don't have an ICP. But if you do have an ICP, I don't think intent data is a good way to qualify whether an account is an ICP, ideal customer profile fit or not. So I would say that for qualification, it's like more about qualification of like the account being ready, for instance, to talk to sales, or like being ready to be moved from the awareness stage to like the consideration or more engaged stage.
Mm-hmm. And one of our audience says, I work at B2B software SaaS company based in the UK. Based on N.Rich's use of intent data, how can a B2B software company utilize intent data in driving their product design and development pipeline?
So the question is about like product design and development pipeline. So I'm assuming that this is about the sales pipeline instead of like the development pipeline. So the way to do this obviously would be to, first of all, like determine the third-party intent topics that are related to what you are offering. So determining the category and the kinds of problems that are solved with your offering, and then on the other hand, define the competition, like what kinds of companies would be alternatives to your offering, like where do you compete? Like I wouldn't choose like if you are, let's say, a mid-market company, choosing like enterprise companies in this area probably doesn't make sense, but similar companies like yourselves. And then on the other hand, setting the first party intent on your website will give you data about what companies are ready at the moment. So this way, I mean, the answer is pretty much the same regardless of the industry, as long as it's B2B. So like this is the process that you do it with. So you define the third-party intent topics, the competition, you start gathering the third-party intent, and then you set up the first-party intent data collection on your website, and then you need some kind of process of determining what is the next best action based on the data. What do you do when an account has a high third-party intent? What do you do if an account has a low third-party intent? If it's marketing, what kind of content you will use? If it's sales, what kind of content you will use? So it's about setting this up so you get the data, and then on the other hand, like defining the process and the kind of content that you kind of playbook related to the different types of signals that you will be getting from there.
Okay, great. There doesn't seem to be more questions, but still, I mean, if there are any more questions from our audiences, we will be sharing the recording after the webinar, and please just reply to that and ask your questions, and we will get back to you. All right, we are coming to the end of our time. I want to thank you, Markus, for your time and all the information you shared with us. It was very valuable, and I also want to let our participants know that we will be continuing with a following topic about ABM, account-based marketing, and ICP, and we will be marketing that webinar in the near future as well. So we are looking forward to seeing you there also. Would you like to say a few last words, Markus?
Yeah, so thank you very much. I appreciate the questions, really good questions in general. I'm happy to hear that like the context is interesting, and that there are kind of correct types of thoughts that it raises. So thank you very much for the attention. Happy to be here, and yeah, I hope to see you again in the next webinars.
Yes, thank you very much, and have a good day, everyone.
Thank you.